Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show.
I could fix an evening coffee, play some Kingdom Hearts or something. Chris is playing Animal Crossing on the couch sitting beside me, and we're hanging in the living room. May as well be called a dying room, 'cause without it all we're contributing to society. May as well be done. It's imperative we light it up. 70, 30 or nothing else. Watch McKinn and hoist the Stanley Cup, but the fucking doves sit down themselves. I am paralyzed below the neck, half sleeping on this old leather couch. Turning down the lights as Nolan turns the dial up on Midwest nothing. There's just so much pressure on us to stand taller than our fathers before us. How are we supposed to send the kids to school without leaving our beds until the afternoon? I wanna move around, I swear to God that it just sounds so hard. So when I fix the morning coffee, I sure hope you'll stand beside me. Manufacture in a moment, pressing chalk against the concrete. I could tidy up the living room, hang a painting in the hallway, call my parents just to hear them, call a friend and say I'm sorry.
What's up, everybody? Another week, another edition of the show. I have Tom from the awesome band Townies, LA by way of Boston. I mean, the word Townies as an name of a band should tell you it's probably somewhere in the Northeast. That's where they originated. But I'm really excited to have them here. I found their stuff on Bandcamp, like I always do, finding awesome shit, and reached out, and here we are today. So welcome to the show, Tom.
Thank you. Yes, psyched to be here. Appreciate you having me on.
Not a problem. I mean, this is what I do. I find bands that I think fucking deserve a little bit more than what I see them have in terms of like followers and sales and and streams and all that kind of stuff. I'm like,
Mhm.
man, there needs to be so many more people have to hear this. How do we do it? So it's kind of I'm trying to curate that little section of saying, hey, don't listen to that fucking shit the algorithm gives you. Listen to the shit that I'm putting in front of you. So
Hell yeah. I love it. And we were just talking a second ago. I love listening to these types of pods when you get to know someone's like musical journey a little bit more, and then you appreciate the music a lot more. So to get to be on the other side of that as the artist is super cool. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's my absolute pleasure. It truly, truly is. So I mean, why don't we just start real quick and just do a quick background of the band? Like, how'd you come together? How did all this stuff come to where it is now, to releasing a fucking sweet kick-ass album this year, and like get us to how the band came together and what you guys are doing and how you end up in LA.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm going to do my best to consolidate the unnecessary details because it's been a pretty funny journey. But But basically, so the three of us who are currently members, me, Chris, and Nolan. Chris is the bass player. Nolan plays drums. I play guitar and sing. Excuse me. So we all worked at a summer camp in New Hampshire. That was like our summer job in high school and then in college as well. That's where we all met. And at the camp, we basically just started jamming. There was like an old drum set in the old maintenance shed, and one day Nolan picked up the sticks, and I had brought my amp to camp. And fast forward, like it went from just jamming around to let's perform in front of the kids, because there was a bunch of like 8 to 15-year-olds running around. So that was our audience.
You couldn't ask for a harder audience to perform in front of the start, right?
It's like the most polarizing group of people, because it's like, I shit you not, half the kids would like idolize us to like a scary extent. Like we were like signing their t-shirts and stuff, because you go to camp, like you're going to look up to any counselors you have naturally. And then like anyone who was into music got really excited, which was cool. But then half the kids, maybe more than half, were like covering their ears. Like, this sucks. And we're playing like all the classic like pop punk covers. You know, we're doing the Blink and the Killers and the Fall Out Boy songs. But that was kind of the origin. It was just, this is fun. We like playing together, so let's perform. And I think one summer, we started just doing it outside of camp. It was like, hey, what if we actually got together and like tried to write some songs and jammed with ourselves? And we had a different bass player for a little while who was native to the Boston area. Nolan and I are both from Boston. Fast forward a little bit, he moved to Burlington, so it was kind of just Nolan and me for a hot second. We put out a few songs. We had an EP called Such and Spit. That was basically just me and Nolan putting like our summer savings together to record some music and
release it at the worst possible time in the history of mankind, 2 weeks before the world shut down, right? Isn't that when you released that? Like February
exactly.
of 2020? Yeah.
It's funny. The timeline gets so blurry for me. I really have trouble remembering like what year did we release that, and when we released it, where was I? Because it was such a long process. It's like you record music and then months go by, you're mixing it. But eventually we put out that EP. COVID happened. We had actually been planning a tour to do like half the country basically with our friends in Neutral Snap. They're a band from New Orleans that I met when I was at college. So like we're all excited. We're going to do a tour. We had only played a handful of shows at that point, and then world shuts down. You know, you've probably heard that story before with every band. But eventually I moved out to Los Angeles because that's where Nolan was finishing school. He's a year younger than me. So it's like I graduated. I'm like, I want to be able to play music with my best friend and my fellow musician. So I'll find a job out in LA.
I mean, wow, that's some balls, and it's also some like true friendship. Like, fuck, this is what I want to do. I'm moving across the country.
Yeah, it was always such a bummer because Nolan is such a talented drummer, and we are very, very aligned from like a musical influence standpoint. So like I love making music with him. But then we'd both go off to college, and like all year long, I would always say to him, man, like if you would just come to Tulane, dude, like we could have tore it up. And he almost did too. That's the worst part. Tulane was like his second choice, and then he got into his first choice, but I digress. I moved out here, basically found like the only job I could get in LA. Started working. He and I would jam every now and then. There wasn't a whole lot to do. It was middle of COVID. And then finally we booked a show. I think he cold called every venue in the city. And for shows at that point, Chris, our bass player, would just fly out from New York where he was living. It was like, Chris, we got a show. You got to fly out. We got to practice a set list and then perform. And we did that for a little while. Recorded our second EP, the Brock EP, in LA. Chris came out for like a month and just like lived in random people's houses for a little while so that we could have studio time together. It was just a whole hodgepodge of logistics, and like on top of that, we're all working full time. So the lesson is like, if you if you want to make it happen, you can always find a way. I think that was really cool for us to realize, like, oh, we all care about this enough to put in the hard work, put in the effort. And then fast forward even more, we got Chris to move out to LA. So the three of us were all here. And then since then, like, it was just freedom. Like, we can play shows whenever we want. We can write songs whenever we want. We rehearse all the time. And then, we're at the point now where we have this album out, and it really feels like it's been a huge change. A lot more people like yourself, for example, people that we don't know listening to our music is like the most surreal thing ever. And it's not like it's that many people, but anyone that isn't someone I already know telling me that they listen to our music is the coolest thing ever, like every single time. So it's been a really fun couple of months since we put the album out and kind of made a little bit of a name up for ourselves in this community.
Well, I think it would be detrimental to the world if you didn't make any sort of dent with the album that you put out, right? You put your heart and soul into something, and it speaks in volumes, in terms of sitting down and listening to the music and going over it and over and over and over it like I have. Like, when I find something that I like, as soon as I listen to, whether it's an EP or an album all the way through, I go back, and then I go back to, I find your first song sick. And then I'm like, all right, now I'm going to do
no, you went that far back.
Yeah. So I do the timeline, man. Like, I'm like, all right, here's the first one. And
I respect that.
Then I went to Such and Spit. And then, two of my favorite songs are your the Uncle Ween's Book of Hymns. Like, I love those two fucking songs. It's two
Hell
songs.
yeah.
But like, I follow the progression and see, okay, like, here you can kind of tell, like, okay, here's one step, here's the next step. Oh my God, they hopped over 3 steps and now here they are. And then it's like, oh my God, they're already at the top of the staircase with their album. Like, this is fucking great. And it's great to hear it and find it, and then like hear the story behind it. Like, you told a really good tale to people who could be listening to this, is that, it's easy to fail if you don't try.
Yeah.
But to put in the work and the effort that everybody did to be together to make this band come alive, like, just like, there's a way to do it. Like, you can do it if you can you sit down, and instead of saying, no, this isn't going to work, you can easily everything can always be called, you can call anything quits at any moment. But when you're like, hey, listen, there's something here, we need to figure out how we can make this work. And if everybody's on the same page and you figure it out, there's always a way to get things done. There really is.
100%. And I truly appreciate your approach to like finding new artists, because like, I think that's the coolest thing ever, to take the time, like, oh, I like this band, let me go back to their first release ever and just see the whole progression. Because like, I think a lot of musicians would agree there's nothing scarier than when someone's like, oh yeah, like, I know that song, and they name like some super old song, and you're like, oh my God, that's the one that you fucking listen to. Like, please don't listen to that. But I think there's nothing cooler than listening to music like in context of, oh, this is like this band's first release. This was probably them like shoveling together their allowance and recording in someone's basement, compared to what I discovered them from was their debut album that was obviously professionally done and they spent way more time on. So that's a really cool way to look at music. And as a creator of music, I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, that's the way I look at music, and the way I have like pretty much my whole life is just looking at something like that, and you put the effort in to create it and release it and put it out there. So I should put the effort in to listen to it, right? It shouldn't just sit there in this, little sphere by itself that no one ever touches, or just your friends heard it the first time it released. Like, it's there for a reason, and you put the effort into it. So me as a listener, if I am going to truly want to be a fan of a band, I got to put the effort in, because I got to be in love with all of it. And listen, when doesn't matter what band you are, you could be my favorite band. They put out some terrible songs, my favorite bands. But at the same time, I appreciate it just as much, and I'm sure they do, that I spent the time to listen to those songs that probably at the end of the day, they'll admit to, like, yeah, that wasn't good. But it's there, so just put in the effort. It's just a little effort. What's 4 minutes out of your fucking life, right?
Right. Isn't it crazy that like not everyone listens to music in that way. Like I always like you're clearly a big music fan and like you take the time to listen to albums at a time, and it always baffles me the sheer amount of people who like don't even know what they're listening to. It's just like a shuffled Spotify playlist. And this isn't like, I don't mean this in like a judgmental way, because everyone has their thing. There's other mediums of art that like I consume very passively. But as someone who listens to music like very focused and deliberately, I just can't wrap my head around like hearing a song and not wondering who it's by and when it was released and like what context surrounded it, or like hearing the instrumentation, always thinking like at some point somebody had to make the decision to put this guitar part here or put this synth in the background or dub this vocal part. Like it always baffles me when friends of mine just have no ear for that or no interest in that at all.
And that's my favorite thing though too, to share with people. Like it happened last night. My wife and I are sitting outside, having a bottle of wine by the fire pit, in 90-degree weather,
sweet.
But we're just sitting there and listening to music, and this song comes on and there's this guitar part that like it's very subtle in the background, and I'm like, did you hear that? And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, hold on. And I go back, I'm like, right there. I'm like, that makes the fucking song.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like no one else can hear it, but like I heard it and I knew it was there, and I was like, oh my God, now I love this song, because this little guitar part that most people probably, it just passes them by. But that's the stuff that I long for when I hear music, to hear that sound or that nugget in a song that you're just like, it's almost like an Easter egg in a song that you're
right. Yeah. You turn
know,
to someone, you're like, this is the best part of the song right here. And they're kind of like,
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That was just like a guitar lick.
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't understand like that tone and that timing. It's perfect.
Yeah. It's music is it's just so powerful, and it is when you take the time to really, and I say sometimes to investigate a song, right?
Yeah.
And you look into that theory of the song, and then the lyrics, how they hit and where they're supposed to, and how it's just like this whole thing is just, it's awesome. And that's what I love about music, because I think a majority of the songs out there are like that. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fucking garbage, but at the same time, like the stuff that's worth listening to, like the stuff that I try to push here on the show, is like, there's nuggets and stuff. Like there's things that it's like, fuck man, that was amazing. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know if the artist maybe even knew that they just did that.
That's what I love. Yeah. When it's always like, that was a decision, like that sound that I just heard, or even just the idea that they, like I said, like dubbed this vocal or like tucked this away in the back. Like somebody had to have that idea at some point, and then they put it to work. I'm curious. I actually have a question for you that I'm going to like half answer before I ask it. But when you like, let's say a band you really like or an artist you really like puts out a new album, what is your method of first approaching that? Because in my own experience, I found that when I listen really close the first time through, I'm like always disappointed.
And I was going to say, yeah, you would be. That's exactly. Yeah. When you focus on something, yeah, you're going to hate it.
I think what you got to do is listen to it very passively the first one or two times, and then you kind of go in knowing what you're getting into, and then listen like really focused, like headphones on a plane or something like that. But that's what my experience is like.
Yeah. I mean, so I had a major experience I talked about on this show before. One of my favorite bands of all time is Face to Face. And when I say one of my favorite bands, I have like two categorized favorite bands. But Face to Face is one of them. And when their self-titled album came out back in 90, I want to say it was 96. And I was in the military, stationed in the military. I'd just gotten back from being out in the field, and I rush out to get their new album, their self-titled album. Yeah, let's fucking go. Put the CD in my truck, and I'm driving, and I'm like, in my heart, I'm like, this is, and I'm like listening intently. I get onto I-95 in Georgia, and I throw it out the fucking window.
Oh man.
And But that goes to like, I was so excited for it and I was so intent on listening to it and listening to it the way I wanted to, full blast, drive in, like this is gonna, and I was just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. And
And
you remember that forever too.
I'll never forget it, because now I go back and like listen to the album, and of course now I have it again on CD and vinyl and cassette and like I fucking download. But it's like I remember that moment, and I always go back. I'm like, in my head as I get older, I'm like, I'm never going to do that again, because I was too excited too. It's just like you go in with something with high expectations. The only way to go is to be let down, right? You can't go any further up than having high expectations for your favorite band coming out with a new album.
100%. And
So that's what I do music 5 different ways. I tell it all the time. Like I do it passively, just like on in the background. I do it intently while I'm driving in the car on a road trip or something. Put in earbuds while I'm mowing the lawn. Other times sitting outside, just focusing on it, or like sitting in my basement, putting on the record or whatever, and just like turning off the lights, grabbing a beer, lighting a candle, fucking, all right, I'm going to fucking do this.
Yeah, like it's like some people might watch a movie, I'm going to listen to an album, but like I'm going to listen to the album, I love plane rides for that reason. Like I'll always have an album or two picked out where you throw the Bose on, noise canceling, and like you hear every little detail of the entire album front to back. And those are the ones that I walk away with like the most appreciation for. Most recently, like that Pool Kids self-titled album. I don't know if you're a fan at all.
Yep.
That album tormented me for like months because they went all the way in with the production on that. Like they did not hold back. There's so many, you talk about like little things, little deliberate decisions. The amount of instruments that I never even knew existed that you just hear in the background. And it's like, wait, it sounds like they recorded this guitar, like the electric guitar with an amp with one mic, but also put a mic like at the person playing it and then panned them in opposite directions. If that makes any sense. Like
it does. I told someone when I heard that album, I'm like, so Prince isn't dead. He's just producing albums now.
It's so good. It's so good.
Well, I want to find out a little bit about your life, your journey through music, and how it's made a huge impression on you. And I want to start from the beginning, really. Like when you're a kid, there's like, I would say there's 2 specific moments. It's the first time you hear music differently, and then the first time you discover music. And when I say hear things differently, it's like, I remember being a kid, 6 years old, hearing the Beach Boys for the first time. And that was the moment that I was like, oh, what is this? And then, the next moment was when I got older and got to find my own way into music. But like, do you remember kind of like, did you grow up in a musical household per se? And there was always, my dad always had Bob Seger, Gordon Lightfoot on.
Yeah. I am the youngest of 4 boys. So very naturally, I had a lot of influence coming from my brothers, which was honestly perfect because like I'm 26 now. I was like a child in the early 2000s. Those were like the years I was most influenced easily. And they were listening to Linkin Park and Blink and those types of bands. And that's just what I was like used to hearing around the house, as opposed to a lot of people like hear music from their parents primarily. So I always felt like I was like 10 years young compared to the music that I really liked. By the time I got to middle school, I was just a massive Blink fan. And kind of like what you were saying, I wasn't able to just get into a band for one album or get into the hits. It's like when you're in 6th or 7th grade, I think you're so easily like influenced and inspired and excited. Like I would learn everything about every band that I loved. I think I listened to nothing but Taking Back Sunday for like 9 months in 7th grade, like no other artists, because there was all of a sudden an entire discography at my hands because of my brother's iTunes that had like every song they'd ever done. So it was a lot of that, like one band at a time, and I could almost go in order. It's like Blink, Taking Back Sunday, Rise Against, A Day to Remember, and then once I got to high school, I started branching out a little more into the emo world, and emo in like the Senses Fail style, like I guess still in that 2000s, brand new, that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. I have a lot of memories where like if I hear a song, I remember the first time I heard it. I think a lot of people are that way.
Well, yeah, it's a
But
time
they're-
machine. Music's a
Yeah,
time machine. You can
exactly.
smell the smells, see the sights, hear the sounds. It's just, that's what it is.
I don't know that there's one that stands out where I was like, whoa, like this is what music is. Cause like two of my brothers were avid guitar players. One of my brothers was in a band or two, kind of just like messing around. So I was always around it, but it never felt like a musical household, I guess. I think I just loved like I was passionate about listening to music first. And then once I realized that I could also create it if I really wanted to, that's when I got, you kick it into full gear.
Now, when you found that moment, like what do you kind of remember that moment when you figured out that you could create it?
I remember it very clearly. This is one where it's like I could bring myself back to the moment. It was like, I think the summer going into 7th grade. My grandma lived in New York in the Upper West Side. I was staying with her for a couple nights. And this is like in the middle of my Blink phase. And I was reading a Wikipedia article about Blink. And it said how Tom DeLonge started teaching himself guitar when he was 15. And I remember being like, hold on, I am 12. I have a 3-year head start on Tom DeLonge. And I got home and I grabbed a guitar from the basement and I Googled how to play the guitar. And I think the first song was like Ode to Joy. And then, ended up that guy Marty something. Everyone knows Marty if you've ever picked up a guitar. I forget his last name, but just a lot of YouTube tutorials, reading tabs. And I was just addicted. Like I've never felt more intrinsically motivated to complete something or learn something as I did when I was first learning guitar. Because when you suck at something, you improve really fast. And that was like the coolest thing to see.
Yeah, it's easy. And that's what I love about guitar too. Like it's easy to sound really bad and you can make it not sound really bad really fast.
Right.
Like that's the greatest part about it. That was always the hardest part with piano for me, was because like it's hard, and it's almost like this. It's kind of the same notes as a guitar, but it was just like so much harder to make it sound good so fast. And that's like why, as a kid, when you're forced into those piano lessons, why you give up so easily.
Yeah, and what I loved about being self-taught was like I got to choose what I learned next, and because a lot of the music that I loved wasn't complicated, it was just power chords. Like
You weren't learning theory from the guitar teacher, with the long hair and very skinny. Like they all had the same look, and they would always teach they'd start you off as at an 11-year-old with guitar theory, and you're like, what the fuck? No one wants to do this.
It was great for my like mental development. I still don't understand music theory hardly at all, and it can work to my detriment quite a bit. But I think that's where any musician kind of gets their sound from. It's like, I like that it's all just what I was influenced by as a kid is still like what I feel like I'm good at on the guitar.
Naturally, like coming to figure out and teaching yourself how to play guitar, the next step is to go find other people that do the same thing and form a band, right? Was that like your next thing in school, was to find other like-minded kids that were playing music and to come together and do it together? Or were you very like selfish and trying to do it on your own and shy and not wanting to do it?
It was kind of a combination. Like I was very, very insecure and kind of quiet about like how much I really, really loved this. Like all my friends were athletes. Like I played sports growing up. My family was all athletes. So like the thought of like singing a song in front of a person, like I'd get beat up by my family probably if I did that, or at least I thought that. So like that wasn't an option.
For older, the youngest of 4 with 3 older brothers. Yeah, you're getting your ass kicked.
I got my butt kicked for a lot less than that. But
yeah,
it was hard because I like bands that I loved would come to town and I'd know where to go see them with. Like none of my friends were into that stuff. And then I remember there was a phase I was like really trying to make friends with some of the music kids, like how cliques are in like middle school. I started hanging out with them a little bit, and then I was like, God, you got like the only thing we even remotely have in common is the music stuff, but we're like nothing alike other than that. But once I conquered the identity crisis, there was a program in my town called Plugged In, and it was called Plugged In Teen Band Program, kind of like the classic, oh, sign up, we'll put you in a band and you'll rehearse once a week. So I did that, and that was like my first time playing with other people, really, aside from jamming with my cousin, who, shout out, my cousin Ryan is in a band called Lousy. You should definitely check out. And yeah, it was like once a week we would rehearse, and there was a benefit concert at the end. And I did that program like 7th, 8th, 9th grade. And that was kind of where I built some confidence up and learned how to play in front of people. And I would do like backup vocals for some bands. And that was how I built some confidence with singing. But the biggest thing I think was the summer camp. Like once we started jamming together, where it was like, oh, I'm not just playing with people I got assigned into a band with, I'm playing with my best friends, and we're playing in front of our other best friends who are all really supportive, because we're living in this like bubble in the woods in New Hampshire for 9 weeks. And all these little kids, like, if they like it, that's dope. But if they don't, like, I don't really care what they have to say, because they're children. I think that's where myself, and I'm sure the other guys, like really started to build that confidence of like, hey, I can actually kind of do this in front of people, and I might stumble a little bit, but it's really fulfilling to attempt it.
What was the very first band name that you ever came up with?
All right, I got this. I can name a couple. I think the first one was Tristan and the Slush Puppies, and then we changed our name to Emily. None of us were named Emily. One of us was named Tristan. I was in another one called The Late Jesse, because there was a kid named Jesse that was always late. There was one called Shut Up and Do Your Job. There was one, I was in one, my main band, like the one I actually would consider a band that I was in, was Suburban Revival, which is just the most like over the top pop punk band name ever. But we actually jammed for a while.
Yeah.
That was fun.
All I picture is just a group of kids that look like Derek Wembley, like in
literally
Revival.
It was perfect. We were a 3-piece. We played every Blink and Green Day song that's ever been recorded, and it was honestly a ton of fun. Like dual vocals, like it was perfect.
Nice. You brought up, trying to find kids in bands coming to town and having no one to go with. What was your very first concert you ever went to? And then it could be if it was different, what was the first concert you got to choose to go to?
This is actually an awesome question, because I think my answer is kind of funny. The first concert I ever went to was Taylor Swift at Gillette Stadium, and opening for her was Justin Bieber. This was, I think it was after Fearless came out, maybe the album after that. I was not a Taylor Swift fan by any means, but I'd never been to a concert in my life, and I loved music. And my cousin somehow had like a box. She was going with a bunch of friends. I just remember calling her shamelessly and being like, hey, can I come with you? I want to go to a concert. And she was like, yeah. So I think I was in 6th grade, maybe. And I don't know what age that makes me, but I was in a box full of girls that were like literally
11.
crying their eyes out and screaming.
Yeah, you're like 11 years old. Yeah.
But when people ask me this question and I want to give them an answer that's a little more exciting, truly the first concert that I like fell in love with the music that was being played at was Rise Against, with A Day to Remember opening and the Men Singers kicking off the show. And
wow,
Rise Against was my favorite band at the time, so that was like a huge deal. My cousin and my uncle took me. A Day to Remember, I remember they were playing, and I was terrified because I hadn't yet acquired the taste for like the metalcore or any of the screaming. So I was terrified, but I was also kind of like, oh, this is really good. Like, this is actually dope. So after that show, I became a big fan of theirs. And then the Men Singers is my single favorite band of all time. So like seeing them as like the little opener on this big tour for the first time was really, really cool to look back on. Yeah,
they're one of those bands that it's crazy. You know, luckily for me, as old as I am, I've had the opportunity to see so many bands in very small, intimate venues
Oh yeah.
when they rock out. So like, but like seeing the Menzingers from like when I first saw them at LPR in the city, which is like, 200 people, to now fucking
That's
selling
insane.
out all these fucking big venues. I'm like, man, and I'm like, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy. And I'm like, they deserve it though. I'm like, they work hard. They're fucking tour all the time. Once COVID was over, I mean, I don't think they've come off a tour since
I
after
know.
COVID.
Yeah, they just announced
Yeah.
one today.
Yeah. They're always playing, but that's the thing too. Like they're working, they're doing it, and they're not stopping, which I think, it's a lot of credit to bands that, hey, listen, you go from that fucking playing to a room of 3 people to selling out larger fucking rooms. I mean, and they're working at it. They're not just like, hey, we're going on tour. I think they honestly take like a week off and they're like, all right, here's another new tour. See you
Yeah,
later.
it's insane.
Yeah.
They seem like such good guys too.
Yeah,
They're
that
like our
they all.
dream band. We always talk about like we just need the Menzingers to take us on tour, and like we'll be bright eyed and bushy tailed, but they'll take care of us because they're all like adults and just seem so friendly.
Grown-ups.
Yeah.
So going from like being able to see that, like going from Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber to seeing a legit rock show, I mean, was that all another kick in the ass of like, yeah, no, this is definitely what I want to do?
I think so. I think from there, my cousin that I went with, he kind of was my saving grace with going to shows. Like anytime Taking Back Sunday or 4 Year or The Story So Far, like those types of bands were in town, he and I would go together. And yeah, we might be able to find 1 or 2 other people from like my high school or his high school to join. But he was like really the person that was opening my world to all this stuff, because he would also go to local shows. He was in bands well before I was. He's helped Townies so much over the years with just like, hey man, like we want to record a song. What do we do? And he's like, text this guy. It's like, hey man, we want to book a show. What do we do? He's like, call this person. Like, shut up. So that translated itself a lot into us going to shows together. And yeah, I just remember being blown away, especially because my group of friends who like I was really tight with, we were not aligned musically. And I loved it so much. So when I would go to shows, it was like the biggest breath of fresh air looking around. Like, finally, I'm surrounded by people who appreciate this as much as I do. I remember a specific moment at a Story So Far show. They closed the show with High Regard, and I just like shut my eyes, and I was like, I felt like I was levitating. And it's like the cheesiest thing ever, but I just remember being like, damn, this is awesome that there are this many people here that feels just like I do.
Yeah, that's my famous line of, you when you go to a concert, you're never around strangers, you're around friends you haven't met yet.
Yeah,
That's because you're all
that's
there
beautiful.
for the same thing. Everybody there is there for a specific reason, and it's the same reason why you're there. So like, there's no way you can not strike up a conversation and have a new friend immediately standing next to you.
Hell yeah, I love it.
Now, when you're doing that and you're growing up and you got all this music surrounding you, did you ever think there would have been a moment where when this all was coming together, have you ever, let me put it this way, have you stepped back yet to say, look what I've done so far? Like, have you taken that back of being like playing in a camp in fucking New Hampshire to now living in LA with your friends and recording music and putting out records? Have you ever taken time to be like, holy shit, look at where we are now? You may not be on the mountaintop. Like I say, there's really only 10 spots for the 10 most popular bands to fucking be in the world at one time, which is bullshit to me. But at the same time, like, you've made something of yourself. Have you ever, sat back with the guys and been like, hey, look at what we fucking done?
Yeah, no, honestly, I think that's one thing that I am really proud of, is that we have done that every step of the way, and like really deliberately tried to be grateful and try to be appreciative of what we've been able to accomplish. And like, in the grand scheme of things, we've accomplished very little. It's not like we could not quit our jobs tomorrow. We can barely get booked in most cities in the country. Like it's not like that. But what we have accomplished is like fulfilling the goals that we set out for ourselves kind of one step at a time. And I think especially with the album, like recording the album was so much work. It was so much sacrifice. It was so much I'm exhausted. I'm getting home from work late and I need to finish writing these songs so that I can bring them to the band on Thursday to rehearse. And we need to tighten it up and we need to beat it into the ground. The week that we actually recorded was like, it was so much fun, but it was hell. Like no one ever tells you that recording is work. And God bless Joe, who produced the album. Like he was locked in the whole time. And we literally had a conversation before going into it. Like, hey guys, we need to agree right now, as much work as this is going to be, and however bright the light at the end of the tunnel is, like we need to appreciate every step of the way, even when it's the long night in the studio or doing the 80th vocal take. Like every little step like that, if you look back at yourself 5 years ago and think about where you are now, like I would be over the moon to just know that somebody wanted to record a podcast and ask me about music. Like that is crazy to me. So I really try to have that perspective because I don't think our destiny is to sell out stadiums ever, or maybe even a step below that. Like I'd say if you're a betting man, Townies probably aren't going to be selling out world tours or doing the big thing, because I think we just do what we like to do. So we get really excited about the little milestones. The hey, all these people are listening to our music. That's really, really cool. Oh, these people want to invite us to play a show. Like this is awesome. And just those interactions we have at shows, those interactions we have online with other bands, people saying that like they've listened to our stuff. It means the world. So it is definitely something that we try to consistently have that perspective on.
That's awesome. I mean, that is, to hear something like that, like people, you have to learn to appreciate what it is you've already done, more so than always looking forward to something else. I don't think we do that. A lot of times it's human nature that you really don't take the time to appreciate what it is you've done, how far you've come, and what you're doing next is usually always the thing on your mind, right? And so you don't have time to smell the roses, as they say.
It's hard these days too, because like there's so many tangible metrics to like quote unquote measure success of an artist, right? So like a couple weeks after the album came out, we had like 10,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. And like we're looking at that number every day and getting so excited, like, oh, it keeps going up. It keeps going up. This is insane. And we know that that doesn't really mean anything, but it's still something you can get excited about. And I think any artist has a right to be like, this is crazy that this many people have listened to our music in the last month. If you look now, it's at like 1,400. I checked today. And that doesn't mean that we're like any less successful than we were a couple months ago, or that like this is a disaster. It
doesn't mean anything
about the perspective.
Honestly, I don't think it doesn't mean anything. Honestly, like the way I look at that, especially like the followers on Spotify, I don't think it means a goddamn thing, to be perfectly honest.
I think it's cool if you look at it in a positive light, like, oh, this is awesome. I'm really glad all these people are hearing this. But if that's how you're measuring your own success, you're just going to drive yourself crazy.
Yeah. I got into that, little wormhole of when I started this podcast years ago, and like, seeing the downloads every week when an episode came out. And then it just started to get to the point where I'm like, oh, I don't even fucking care. That's not why I started it. That's not why I'm doing it. So it doesn't matter. And literally ever since I made that like a big thing in my own head, like I don't give a shit. I'm doing it every week, no matter what. I don't care. And I'm never going to look at the numbers again. And I haven't in years. Like, I'm just like, no, fuck it. I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm hopefully helping someone else. So that's all that fucking matters at the end.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to do it. And I think probably any artist who has made it will tell you that that's the perspective they probably had when they were this size, you know?
Yeah. This is gonna be like it's the pick your favorite child segment of the show where so you have you literally have 3.5 minutes to impress someone with your music, to basically show what the band is about. Sometimes I say you're sitting in front of the world's largest record producer in the world and you have
Sure.
3.5 minutes to impress them. What song of yours are you playing for?
God, that is so tough. I think it's a very much, I'm going to read the audience. If it's anyone on the street and I'm just playing the odds that they probably prefer like pleasant, more poppy music, I think Faux Pas.
Here's to the faux pas. Here's to the time between my reply and you asking me where I stayed at last night. I'm running over the same excuses that I use on the day by day. I'm getting over running away.
The strongest just standalone song that we have right now, where anybody can enjoy it. It's got a nice melody. It's very catchy. It's got like these bright acoustic guitars, a really nice bass line. I love that song so much. But if we're talking about like, what do you think showcases who Townies is, then that's probably not the answer. The answer is going to be something with a little bit more going on instrumentally. I think that's why we chose Medicine to be the first single from the album, because I think it has a really nice combination of, honestly, I think every instrument has a moment to shine. Like there's a really nice guitar riff to open it up. Yeah,
I think
that would be the other one.
Does that. Yeah, Dog Yard for me is like, that's the one where if I wanted to show the talent of the band, because I think it's the one song that you guys have out of everything you've released that I've been able to hear it's almost a song that transcends like all genres, because all genres of forms of music are in that song.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And as we were making it, like we would finish rehearsing it and look at each other and just feel like, what the fuck is this? This is like, this song makes no sense. But it really does have like, it has like the fast, like punk background that we used to love and still love, like that Title Fight influence and some old Rise Against. And then you've got like the noodly, more like a twinkly emo riff that's not necessarily twinkly. And then Chris has some awesome bass lines. Then there's almost like a hardcore breakdown with the palm muting. I love that song. That song was like my child. Kept me up at night many nights.
Yeah, I love it, and that's why I was just like, yeah, no, that's the song. Like, as soon as what I do too when I listen to music, like when I'm getting really focused in on something, I have a little notebook next to me.
Oh, really?
And like I write the song down, and like I wrote Dog Yard, put it in parentheses, and then I just wrote next to it, hits all genres.
Damn, that's really cool.
Like I make my notes like, fuck, like, okay, like who's gonna like what song? Because sometimes, you know, when you're creating music, you're creating, you know, based off your influences, what you're listening to at that time. But like when you get to a song, like for me, when I heard Dog Yard, I was just like, I don't know what the fuck this is. I was like, I was like, and then I had to listen to it again. And then I listened to it again, and I was like, they just fucking ran a gambit of genres and just killed the fucking song. And I was just like, fuck, man, that was riveting. Like, it was like, God damn, thank you for that.
Hell yeah. I appreciate it. I think that song's hilarious too, because the form is just like the stupidest song form ever. And like, I take it for granted because I obviously know it really, really well, but like, I can't imagine hearing that for the first time and then someone being like, all right, like identify the verse and the chorus of that song. Because it seems so obvious to me now, but I feel like none of it makes any sense.
Yeah, you can. And what's funny is too, like when I listen to stuff like that, I'm like, how the fuck are they going to do this with three guys and performing it on stage? How's this going to happen?
There's like 4 songs on this album that when we finished writing them, I looked at the guys, I was like, yeah, this is just going to be one that we never play live. Like that is what it is. But then we would just jam to them because they were so fun. And then we figured it out. We play Dog Yard at every show. It's so fun.
That's awesome.
It's hard to sing though. I have trouble with that one. I need more people to learn it. Help me out a little bit.
Now, talking about like in performing and live performances, do you have a moment for good or bad that occupies this little part in your brain of a live performance you ever had, you know, for good or bad? I usually like the bad ones, but like, just something that like, you know, it's just never going to go away. It just occupies that space in your brain and always will.
There's a lot more bad ones than good, because the bad ones are the ones you remember.
Yeah.
But I'll give a little bit of both. So I think I told this story. We did a pod like a month or 2 ago, and I might have told this same story, but it's great because there's video evidence. We played a show in New York the night after, or I guess the day after the album dropped.
Was that the Bowery Electric show?
Yes, it was. Biggest show of our careers. We sold it out. It was like 200 people, and we like, when I tell you I couldn't sleep for like months leading up to it because I was so excited, and I would just play the entire set in my head every single night. And we're playing, and like halfway through the set, I just felt like I was playing like shit. And then we get to the end, we're playing Medicine, and like there's this moment where there's like a pause, and I saw some people singing along. So during the pause, I screamed, "Sing!" to try and get everyone to sing. But like, because I took the second to do that, I totally forgot what chord to play next. So then I just played like the wrong chord on the guitar. So going from like this super confident command to the audience to just the worst guitar chord ever, I was so mad at myself. And I watch that set sometimes because it's on YouTube. And I like can't look at that moment. It's too painful. And the funny thing is, it's like not a big deal at all. Like when you're the one that does it, it can get you down.
Yeah.
But the following weekend, we played Boston, which is our hometown. Chris is from New York, so it's a hometown show for him. But Boston is the de facto home of Townies. And that, like, I didn't really expect this, but it had been a week since the album dropped, so people actually were able to listen to it enough to retain some of it. And like, we played the first couple songs, and I was looking out, and everybody was singing along, and like singing emphatically, and there's this huge pit going. And I just remember I like could not stop smiling. Like as I was trying to sing, I was like laughing because it was just the coolest moment ever. We had never truly had just like a lot of people singing, especially the new songs. And that is something that I just crave. Like I just want to see people singing along to Townies songs because that means that they spent a lot of time listening to it. And when you're, I don't know, when you're making music and you know people are actually consuming it, it's like, it really is the best feeling ever. So that is my good and my bad.
Yeah, there's nothing like that. Hearing when you don't need a monitor because the monitor is the fans.
Yeah, exactly.
It's awesome. So that brings us. I'm sitting here and we're not on video chat, but that brings a literal smile to my face. I'm like,
where are you based out of?
New Jersey, northern New Jersey.
We'll have to play around that neck of the woods one of these days.
Yeah, well, a month and a half ago now, I did open my brand new record store / music venue. So
no way.
Yeah, in Jersey. So there's if you're in the area, we'll talk more about it later.
Yeah, straight up. Well, let's get in touch when we're planning our inevitable next Northeast run of shows. That'd be sick.
Awesome. All right. So besides Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber, what would somebody be really surprised you get a lot of enjoyment out of listening to?
The timing of this question is perfect. I was a diehard Eminem fan as like a child, which I think is a rite of passage when you're just like a white kid from suburbia.
Yeah, everybody was a little Slim Shady.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like so classic. Like I was in 5th grade. I was at a Catholic elementary school. I would buy the clean versions of his songs just because I was like, oh, I shouldn't be listening to the dirty versions. Like it's so ridiculous. But throughout my life, I've always loved Eminem. And very randomly, like probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, I just decided to do a deep dive. And I was actually thinking about bringing this up earlier when we were talking about listening to music, like in context, listening to a full discography. Because I went back and I just listened to the Slim Shady LP and then the Mathers LP. And then like, so just went down the timeline and like really thought about the fact that like, holy shit, he's releasing this after that last one when he's at like the peak of fame and like all the controversy that this caused. And then I'm watching YouTube videos. I have not been able to stop listening to Eminem for the last like month. I think he is
as
just
popular
one of the
as he. Yeah, and that's he's one of those categories for me too, where it's like overrated, underrated. Like he's overrated for too much stuff, and he's underrated for the stuff that nobody like really gave a chance to listen to. Like he's really people. I think when he's gone, people will realize like that he's kind of an enigma. Like there's never been something like him before, and there's never going to be something like him again. And I don't think he's truly in the music industry appreciated for what he actually has done for the rap game.
If you listen to those first 3 albums in particular, and like especially like listen to the songs that you don't already know, because everyone knows the big hits.
Yeah.
The amount of songs on those albums that like I always knew existed, but I never truly listened to, that blew me away, from like the production to the rhyming and like the decision making is another good example of that. It's like, oh man, like he put this ad lib here and it was so effective, and like, oh dude, I could go on and on.
Yeah. And there's the fact that I always loved too was that like the other big hip hop artists of that time when he was coming up embraced him, and saw his talent and was like, fuck, this is, the story of Jimmy Ivy finding the cassette tape that was sent to him and bringing it to Dre, like all of that kind of stuff is like, and Dre being like, yeah, fucking get this kid.
Yeah, bring him in.
Bring him in.
Track him
like,
down.
Yeah, like that's the kind of stuff where it's like, yeah, so he was embraced as soon as someone heard it and was like, there's talent. Like, and that's what I love. And, through all the good and bad shit that he may allegedly done or didn't write a lyric about. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, it's just like, dude's fucking talented, and just deal with it.
Yeah, listen, you listen to some of his old stuff and even probably some of his new stuff, and it immediately did not age very well. Did not age gracefully. But like, you got to kind of take that into account. That's what I mean by listening in context of when it was released, and like his willingness to just be like, I do not care. I'm going to say whatever I want because I'm that good at rapping. I'm that good at rhyming. But I digress on the Eminem rant. My roommate can probably hear me. He's like, Jesus Christ, here we go.
Not again. All right, you got 5 minutes left to live. Meteor's going to crash into the earth, and you have to listen to one song and one song only. What song are you listening to?
Oh my God. I'd probably say Gates by the Menzingers. I think that's what I've settled on as like number one.
Well, that was that. I love when people have a quick answer to me.
Yeah,
because it's
tough.
that.
Here's what I reckon with, because the Menzingers are my favorite band ever. I feel like maybe my actual favorite band ever is Brand New, but the Menzingers have never done anything wrong, man. They've never done me dirty. I can be a proud Menzingers fan, so they earn the top spot for keeping a clean record and never making me feel like I can't share my love for them. But the other answer might be Fork and Knife by Brand New. I love that song with my whole heart.
Nice. That's awesome. I love how you had that so quick. That means you've thought about it.
I think about it all the time, man.
Yeah.
Not the Meteor necessarily, but
no, but yeah. Do you own any like specific piece of, say, music memorabilia, or do you own something musically that you're never going to get rid of, like currently in your life? You feel that you never get rid of it?
It's a good question. I have a pretty good record collection going, which is hilarious because I don't even own a record player right now. But like, the way I view it is like, I feel like you might actually relate to this as a music fanatic. But like, when an album earns a certain level of respect from me, that's when I'll buy it on vinyl. And then no matter what my relationship with it is for the rest of my life, like, I'll always have it in physical form to remind me that at one point it was like that important to me. So it's a really cool combination when I look at it of like, the old, like the Menzingers albums, the Take Back Sunday albums, the Brand New albums, and then more recently it's like the Sweet Pill album, the Pool Kids album, Saturdays at Your Place, like some of the more modern bands that have really, really inspired me recently. I'm going to go get their stuff too. And I think I'm going to be really glad in 30 years when I have this ridiculous collection of vinyl and still probably no record player, to just kind of look at and like think about the times in my life when I purchased them.
Well, and you also have a kick-ass art collection. Like, that's the
yeah, right.
Vinyl it's I've been trying to toy with it, but I've called it the poor man's art collection because it's attainable art, for not a huge price, to have, but like, it really is like just being able to hold that physical form. Like, people don't understand that. And me being an old guy holding a record store and selling CDs and tapes and records and all this other shit, but it's just like, just look at this cover. Right?
Yeah, right.
And then looking at older albums, like opening up the gatefold and like there's a pop-up in it, and like comes with 3D glasses. It's like, look at what people took the time to it wasn't just the music they were creating a full entire art form in one 12 by 12.
Yeah, that's something that like we just we made vinyl for the record. It's on pre-order now. Shout out, check it out on our website.
Name of the and I don't think we said the name of the album, but it's Of This I'm Certain. So that's the name of the album, guys. By
there you go.
So yeah, there.
But that is like something that I never truly appreciated until we had to make like the insert and design the front and back. And I cannot take any credit for it because it was all primarily Nolan and then our buddy Ozzy, who's like our fourth member. Shout out Ozzy. Ozzy's song.
I love that song too.
Hell yeah.
So I have my three. I always pick three off an album: Ozzy's, Jake, and Dog Yard. Those are my.
Oh, let's go. Jake Carmeline is another buddy of mine. He's getting married in September, so I'll let him know. But going through that process was so much work. And then I think it was last weekend, Ozzy was at my place and we just decided to like open up half of my vinyl collection and just like observe the art and just be like, damn, like this probably took these guys so much time and energy to decide what prints were going where. Like the Turnstile had such a cool insert for Nonstop Feeling, which is such a good album. The Prince Daddy Cosmic Thrill Seekers one is absolutely beautiful. I can't believe I didn't mention this earlier, so I feel like I need to backtrack and just say Sum 41, hugely influential band. I don't think they get enough credit as being awesome beyond just like a couple radio hits. I just had to get that off my chest for your audience.
Hey, that's fine because I've said some other things about Sum 41 that I know we're not going to agree on. Even though when I did hear the new song that came out and I rocked it a couple times, I was like, huh, maybe I do like Sum 41.
Can I get the like the 30-second synopsis from you on Sum 41? I got to hear this.
So for me, Sum 41 was a combination of all of the worst and best pop punk bands of all time in one band. So it gave me a lot to fucking hate.
Yeah.
At the same time, being conflicted on whether or not I liked it. And, after a while, and I always give things a chance. Like I'm a music lover. So even if I don't like something and I know I don't like it, I always go back to see if maybe I just wasn't listening to it correctly the first time, or maybe it just was where I was in my life that it didn't meet something. But there's certain bands in my life that, I just don't like it. Like, and I've given it chance after chance, and I'm just like, there to me. And listen, I'm just an opinionated asshole from the Northeast. Like that's so
sounds familiar.
Yeah, take what I say with a grain of salt, but like there's no redeeming factor for me to go back and listen to it. That's just where I'm at.
All right. The one thing I will say is Does This Look Infected is one of my favorite albums of all time. I think the fact that they just like wore their metal influence on the sleeve after having a very commercially successful pop punk record is really badass. And then they doubled down on Chuck, which was after that. Those are the two albums that I like think of when I think of Sum 41. I will agree with you. As I've gotten older, like when I hear some of the songs off Underclass Hero, I'm just like, this sucks, dude. Like this is like some of the worst lyricism I've ever heard. Like I loved this as a kid, but it's time to start deleting some of these from the old playlist because I don't think I can keep hitting skip every time they come by. It's too sad.
Just having to skip something that you loved so dearly.
I feel so guilty.
I guess there's a lot of things like that probably don't age well, but I mean, I'm surrounded by so much music. Like just here in my studio, there's thousands of vinyl, thousands of CDs, and hundreds of cassettes. And then when I go to work now, there's even more, but I get to always surround myself. So I have a lot of time to figure out what I like and don't like. And then I get to listen to a lot of older stuff that I loved and figure out if I still love it or not. And that's like been some of my stuff that I've been doing lately is like every day I go to work, I bring 20 records from my own collection. I get to listen to them while I'm working.
That's
and then,
awesome.
Hey, you know what? Maybe I didn't like this. And then I get to just throw it back in the box, or you know what? I'm going to sell this now. So
I love it. When you mentioned cassettes briefly, I think the correct answer to your previous question about like a single thing that I have that I will always love, I have a cassette of Blink-182's Buddha that is very near and dear to my heart. So that's a better like tangible object.
All right. I still have my very first cassette I ever got of the band that made me stand up and listen to music. And it doesn't work anymore, but it's never going anywhere.
What was
it? It was the Beach Boys. It was the greatest hits.
Oh,
Beach
nice,
Boys.
nice.
When I was 6 years old and I heard it, I just told my parents, I want to hear it again. I want to hear it again. And then they bought me the greatest hits on a cassette. And it's just that thing that I'm not going to get rid of because that's why I am where I am today. Like with music, it's because of that.
Yeah. Whether it works or not. I mean, I got a bunch of records that are probably never going to have a needle pressed against them, but they they do plenty for me spiritually.
Well, before we've been here for an hour now. Time flies when you're having fun.
I'm
So
having a blast.
before we move into our final segment of the show,
Ooh.
I'd like to give you the opportunity right now to tell everybody how to find what it is you guys are doing, all your handles and shit, and how to find where to buy all your music and support the band. Like I said, people go out, buy the merch. That is how bands that you like survive.
Hell yeah. On Instagram, we are townies.us, formerly known as townies.nh, but we've gone national.
Yeah.
Twitter, I recently started being pretty active on there, so hit
And
me
it's
with a
X,
follow.
guys. It's X.
Yeah, whatever it's called nowadays. I think it's townies_Brock. TikTok is either townies.nh or townies.us. The only thing, I would just follow Instagram if you want to keep up with the fellas. That's where we post important things. If you want to see me post not important things, follow us on Twitter. Shout out to our label, We're Trying Records. We have our vinyl pre-order currently listed there. I think we have like 30 left. They've actually gone a lot faster. That's another thing that like
That's awesome.
seeing like the names and addresses coming through where I'm like, I don't know anyone that lives in your state, let alone you, and you're purchasing our album. This is super cool. But you can pre-order the vinyl there, and we'll have merch and shows being announced hopefully in the next month or two. So stay tuned.
That's awesome. Awesome, man. Well, we are in the final segment of our show, and it is our weekly threes. It's 3 things that you're listening to that you'd like people to check out. You give 3, then I give my 3.
Sick. Okay. All right. I want to choose wisely because I want to make sure I'm shouting out the right folks. There's a band called Sub Punch in Massachusetts. We've played shows with them in the past. They are awesome. They just put out an EP like last week, and I just think it's like really unique. It's really fresh. Their EP before that is like one of the best 4-song collections I think I've ever heard in my life. So just go listen to Sub Punch. They're awesome dudes. I guess I got to shout out Lousy if I'm going to talk Sub Punch. Lousy is my cousin's band. If you're into the heavy stuff, more like hardcore influenced, but still like very punk at its core, Lousy is like maybe the most badass band on the entire planet. And then let's see, let's pop open the old Spotify. And besides Eminem, what have I been bumping? Let's go with 95 Corolla. They just put out their first full-length album on the same label as us, We're Trying Records, and it's awesome. I think they, in an era, a current state where I think a lot of like punk and emo can blend together, I think they're doing really cool stuff that stands out. So shout out to them.
That's awesome. Great 3. All right, my 3 for this week. So I hopped in my Wayback Machine for my first one. There's a guy, his name was Adam Schmidt. There's an album called World So Bright. It came out in 1991. Talk about people who have things with labels and dealing with. He was a great like power pop guy. Wrote an amazing power pop album and was on Reprise, and he came out, second album came out in like 93, an awesome album too. And then Reprise didn't want to put out his third album, so he said fuck you, and he went and decided to make a studio in his house and produced probably some of the best albums you've ever heard by bands like Tommy Keene, Hum, things of that nature. But his album from 1991, World So Bright, it's just a masterclass in power pop of that era.
Got it.
Next is a LA rock band called Divided Heaven. There's an album that recently came out. It's the Roman numeral 5. So if you look it up, it just says V. But it's rock and roll. It's power pop. I'm a power pop nerd kid from the 80s and 90s. So that's where I just got stuck on it because I had a conversation about Big Star with a band the other day, and I just started diving back into, I need to find some more power pop out there.
Power pop's a genre that's always confused me. I've never truly known what it meant.
it's powerful, really powerful, grungy guitars with amazing melodies and vocals.
Okay.
So it's not your like, it's a Nirvana guitar, but with someone who can sing.
Because I don't know if you've heard this new Max Seal album that came out like a couple days ago. I've been describing that as power pop just because I think it's like a pop album by a rock band that's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm technically wrong, but feels like I might be a little off. I'll do some research.
I'll send you some clinical power pop stuff from back in the day. So, and you'll get the feel. You'll see where I'm coming from when we called it power pop, back in the day, and I still call it power pop. But
dope.
All right, my last band is called Reconciler. They are a punk band, and you mentioned earlier one of your favorite bands. I've described them as a Menzinger / Gaslight Anthem sounding band. And their name of their album is Art for Our Sake. But yeah, Reconciler, that's my third
from Atlanta
one. Yeah, from ATL, baby.
Sick.
But those are my three for this week. Tom, I just want to say this has been an absolute pleasure. This is awesome. And I just want to, a heartfelt thank you for creating the music that brought us together. Because without your passion, your heart and soul, and figuring out how to make things work in life with other people and bandmates and putting out some really good tunes, we otherwise probably never would have met or talked. And in 1 hour, I feel like I have a new friend. So I'm really, thank you so much for all you've done for my ears.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I've had a fantastic time just like splurging on a musical conversation. It's like my favorite type of chat to have. So anytime you want to talk music, let me know. And yeah, I really appreciate you having me on. Had a ton of fun.
Awesome, man. Well, everybody know what time it is now. It's time to go out, listen to Townies, and have a great fucking time.
Yeah.
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.